The following is an Operation Podcast production.
Hi, I'm Katie Stewart, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of the Clear Skin Solution. I am here on EverForward Radio, where we are talking all things skin health to make sure you men are putting your best face forward.
Why do you think most guys don't prioritize skincare as much as it seems women do?
Well, I kind of think it's a generational thing, right? Where I feel like we're finally in this generation, this space in society where it's okay for men to want to care about their appearance and to, even start being more open with their emotions. And they don't have to be this like stoic man that we would have seen maybe 50 years ago or 100 years ago. And it was always looked at that women take care of themselves. It's about their appearance and how they feel. It's more of I think it's more because it was seen as a feminine thing to do with their skin health. And now that we've kind of moved into this, like, I want to say new wave of society for men to be able to want to take care of themselves and to look good and be okay with their emotions. I think now they're slowly starting to be like, okay, like, I think I can take care of my skin. Because I don't know about your dad or so many dads out there, like, were they doing their skincare routine at night?
When I think my dad in skincare, two words pop up: Old Spice.
Exactly.
And maybe that's showing my age a little bit, but I feel like my dad and my uncle, my grandfather, it was just the most generic, classic, old school. I don't even know what this stuff is, but it smells like it could melt.
I don't know what Old Spice is, to be honest.
Oh, no?
Oh, no, I know what it is, but I don't even know what it does.
Like what it actually is. It was Old Spice aftershave and cologne and shaving gel and all this stuff. And it's just, why do we do it? I don't know. It's because what my dad did.
It's what your dad did. And I think that's for generations is you've always done what your dad did or the male in the house did, and they were never doing a skincare routine. But now in this age of the internet and social media and everybody is getting exposed to skincare and to seeing it in their ads. And I think it's just more of it's just more open and acceptable maybe for men to want to take care of their skin. Okay.
I want to also just recognize, I think this is just the universe laughing at me. I was going to sit down today with a skincare expert, and I woke up yesterday with just, maybe you can't see it. Well, this is 4K video. You can see everything. I got this planet, I feel like, growing in between
I can't see literally anything.
Well, shout out to my wife. I used her like ice roller this morning, last 2 days to kind of like reduce inflammation. And, I think I have a pretty good skincare routine. Maybe we can get into it later, but I also am a new dad, and I got a little lazy a couple days ago, and I went to bed without washing my face.
Oh no.
Having on 2 applications of sunscreen.
There you go. That's what did it.
And then I wear a blackout eye mask. Yeah. And exactly where the brim of that mask is, I woke up 2 days ago and it's just got this bump where it was just like rubbing up and down, which is exactly where I put it up and down when I wake up in the middle of the night to feed my son. And I was like, damn it, Chase, you know better than this. So walk us through, why does that happen? Why can we have such a great skincare routine and we're human for one night, we go to bed, we don't wash our face, or we kind of maybe have something, we're prioritizing our sleep health, and it just does us dirty, quite literally.
Absolutely. Well, because you have that 2 layers of SPF on, right, that's already going to be clogging your pores. And when you're letting it sit there and then you're putting the mask on top, maybe you're getting a little sweaty while you're sleeping, and it's just trapping that bacteria, and voila, you're going to get a pimple.
Do you think wearing a blackout eye mask, wearing anything on your face at night is
I'm okay with it. I wear
skincare?
It because I have 2 small children. So since I had kids, I no longer sleep deep. I am a very light sleeper. So I need the air machine going. I need like the face mask. I need earplugs. Like I need it all, or else I'm not falling asleep.
I'm with you. I used to be the hardest sleeper. I was in the military, and I've literally slept through like mortars and gunfire. You learn to kind of navigate that when you need to get at least a couple hours sleep. And then my wife used to joke, I mean, a robber could break into our house and like she would be awake and I would be dead ass asleep. Now I'm right there with you.
Yeah, because it's like you're as a parent, you're never fully off.
Yeah,
it's like you're just in neutral at all times, waiting to hear that cry.
I want to kind of piggyback off of that first question and kind of dive deeper into where I think some guys might be curious about starting a skincare routine. And if you are in a relationship with a woman, you got a girlfriend and a wife, I have a wife, I see a lot of things in our medicine cabinet, in the bathroom, in all the drawers. It's masks, it's serums, it's toners, it's this and that. What do you think is in our girlfriend or wife's stash of skincare products that guys secretly love using the most?
Now I got to ask this first. Do you have any space in the bathroom vanity?
I have, in the 2 cabinets, I have the lower right quadrant, like half of a shelf on the first one and half of a shelf on the second one.
Oh, okay. You got more. My husband
and
does.
then a dop kit.
That's it.
Yeah.
All the rest is her, though.
The other 2 drawers, all the rest of the shelves in the cabinet,
bottles.
all hers, yeah.
Yeah, that's me. My husband has actually no space in our bathroom vanity. But I think when you're looking at, well, what could like what would a husband or a boyfriend really want to be using in there? I think for men, they may not know quite as much about skincare for the average man. And of course, I think you'd be a little more gravitated to like, okay, maybe I know what a cleanser does. That's pretty self-explanatory. I know what a cream does. That's pretty self-explanatory. But I think maybe that intrigue could come in like all of those different lotions and potions that we seem to have just hanging out in there.
They all have such amazing names.
Don't they? I know.
I'm like, I want everything.
I'm going to layer
want
it
whatever
all.
this one does. I want whatever that one does. Is there one that maybe you think is most appealing to guys? And, is it just clever marketing, or do we feel secretly like, oh, this is actually what my skin needs?
Yeah, I think it's going to be generational, right? Depending where you're at. So if you're like that millennial man, you're in your 30s or 40s, this is where I think like a retinol or a retin-aldehyde would be really great, because that's going to be helping with any of those fine lines, going to be more smoothing. So I think that would kind of pique the interest a little bit. Or it's, again, going to be dependent on the individual. So if you're somebody that, wants more of an even complexion because they have maybe dark spots or sunspots, something like a niacinamide or vitamin C serum is going to be really brightening for the skin.
Serums were a new thing for me up until a couple of years ago. I for one just can't not say serum and just crack up. It's just a funny word to me. And so that kind of threw me off as like a skincare item. But that was really the first thing I ever tried beyond just washing my face. And actually, I've been a long time user of like under eye cream. But the first real daily extra quote skincare item I ever tried and still use is a multifunction serum.
I think that's great.
What is going on with the serum world? I've had great experience with it, the one that I use. Do you think most guys could benefit from using a serum? What is different and beneficial about a serum that could be very appealing for a guy?
When we look at a serum, this is really that targeted treatment that you're after, right? The cleanser is step one, so you're washing all of the impurities, the SPF, whatever is off. And then the cream is where you're hydrating. But that middle step, it's like kind of the peanut butter and jelly of the sandwich, is going to be the serum. And that's going to be a targeted treatment specific to what you want to do. So if it's like, I need more hydration, I need brightening, I need fine lines, I need whatever it is, that's where you're going to use a really targeted serum for that specific purpose.
And now, is this something we should be using daily, evening, morning?
Morning and night.
And like, what is the process? Where does it fall in line with the skincare
It's going to be
routine?
step two. So I like to tell men, because I don't know if any men listening are like my husband, he needs very simple, clear. I actually label his skincare 1, 2, 3.
Really?
So he knows what order to put them in, or else he would.
That's actually amazing.
Yeah, it's like Sharpie, 1, 2, 3.
We're very coachable. I think most of us are very coachable.
You guys are very
But you got to lay it
coachable.
out for us.
Yeah,
like that.
I know. My husband needed a lot of training, but he's been doing very well with it. We've been together for 15 years, and he's fully coming around to it. So for men, really keeping it simple, just a cleanser, a serum, and a moisturizer. And then if you're going to be going out in the day, an SPF. I think those are 4 easy things to start with for men, because you can get crazy and there's like the 9-step Korean skincare routines, but I don't know many men that would do that. I'm sure there's some out there, but I don't think many men would be spending 40 minutes on their skin every day.
No. I have a couple of times. I'll be totally honest with you.
I love this.
Anything I do in my life, I share, on the show.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, man, the Korean skincare stuff
It's amazing.
is next level. We actually have quite a few Korean friends that go back to Korea a couple times a year. And we just give them like, here, take $500.
And just bring us it all back.
And just, whatever you can pack in your carry-on, bring it back. Like snail masks.
Yes, I've used those.
That is the most hydrating, quenching,
It's
amazing
crazy.
thing. And I have no shame in my snail mask game.
Absolutely.
It's unreal. All right, but I digress. I want to go back to kind of this, our girlfriend or wife's stash here. What do you think are top 3 products in their stash of skincare items that you think most guys could benefit from using daily? We already talked about the serum, but let's think most women might have 5 times more than a guy.
Absolutely.
What else is in there that you think we could be benefiting from 3 products daily for a guy?
SPF for sure, because SPF is going to be really great for helping to preventing any of that accelerated aging, any of the dark spots, the sunspots, and you want to just be protecting your face when you're going out. So for sure, facial SPF, because we don't often want to be using the same SPF for the body on the face, because it's just a much more delicate skin. We're more likely to clog pores. So using a specific facial SPF, which I'm sure is going to be in there. We already talked about the serum. But I think just like a lot of men just aren't even cleansing their skin. Like so many of my husband or his friends, they're like, well, I get shampoo on my face in the shower. So like, that's got to be it, right? I'm like, no, we need to like use a physical cleanser, because I feel like you're a little more advanced than most men I meet in the skincare game, which I absolutely love.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think actually I've talked to a lot of my guy friends and I tell them like my face wash and they're like, what do you mean? Like, just like you said, like, oh, well, yeah, I get shampoo in my face, or when I'm in the shower, I just rub water on my face. I got a friend, I won't call him out, and I don't think to date he's ever washed his face like with an actual cleanser. let's start here. I think this is the most foundational, fundamental, basic thing a guy could do and should do. Why don't you think, first and foremost, most guys, why don't you think they wash their face with an actual cleanser and then convince them to use a face wash to wash their face daily? Why?
Well, it's been taking me years to get my husband to do it, so I feel like I'm a good person to ask this question of. We have to remember that cleansers are there to wash away any of the impurities. So if you're like out sweating and cutting the grass, or you're at work, you have like a labor-intensive job, we want to be making sure that you're getting rid of all of the dirt and bacteria from the day and the SPF that you're wearing, just to help cleanse and get rid of any of those impurities. And I think so many men haven't, used a cleanser because they didn't grow up seeing their dads use a cleanser or see their friends using cleansers. That if you played sports growing up, like it wasn't I don't want to say I guess it wasn't common for men to be like bringing a cleanser with them to the gym or anything like you see girls doing. So I think it's this very slow shift in society where we're starting to see more men taking care of their skin.
Yeah, it's definitely been a through line already. Is just this what model was set for us as a guy that influences our behavior. And I think if we kind of pull out to the collective well-being of what other daily habits and practices do we have in our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being, what other daily wellness habits do we have? I'd be willing to bet a lot of them started with, they were modeled by someone that you looked up to.
Absolutely.
A parent, a mom, a dad. And there definitely is truth to be had in the, like, depending on the source, like more kind of like female focused or female oriented or male oriented. Whether you're a female or a male, I think you kind of naturally gravitate towards emulating those most or sooner, or they stick longer. The only real skincare thing I can think of that was emulated to me, like I said, beyond Old Spice, and my dad teaching me how to shave, was amongst my peers as a teenager growing up, kind of, battling, pimples and acne and stuff. It was just, those like harsh wipes.
Oh, the oxypads.
Every guy I knew, like in their gym bag, it was just an oxypad in their backpack. And it was like multiple times a day, like, oh, I'm oily. Oh, I'm sweaty. And we all thought, I thought.
That's what we're doing.
Because we would see, like, oh, look at this dirt. Look at all this.
Yeah.
That's like the only thing that was emulated to me for skin health as a guy growing up.
Yeah, and I think it's because the marketing around the oxypads were so big. Like, I'm assuming you grew up like 90's.
Yeah, I was born in 85.
Okay, 89.
Yeah, so I'm 39,
same thing. I think we had so much marketing for the oxypads, and like for girls, it was like the St. Ives apricot scrub. But like those oxypads were all over television. There was commercials everywhere. So I think that's when there started to be a shift where guys are like, oh, like I need that, because they're getting it marketed to them. And then their friends are showing up in the like at gym class and like using it. But it's such a harsh product for the skin. So it's like no wonder we were getting more oily, because we're just stripping the skin of all of the nutrients that it needs.
But I could see all the dirt.
But you can see
all the dirt gone. That's bad. That's good, right?
That's good. Yeah.
What do you think is going on right now generationally in skin health habits that you really like, that most likely the next generation is going to be emulating? And what is one that maybe what's the oxypad of this generation? What's the Old Spice of this generation?
I think the oxypad of this generation is TikTok, because you just see the most crazy recommendations on there, like the things I have seen as an acne practitioner of like what people are being recommended to do.
What's the craziest thing you've seen on TikTok for skin health?
I have two. One is using your own urine as a toner to balance the pH.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, and the second one is using menstrual blood as a face mask. Those are the two that I've seen on TikTok. And I was like, this is a no.
Is there any validity to either of those?
No. So the idea is that the urine is balancing the pH, but that's going to be a no. And then the idea is that using your menstrual blood is kind of like doing a PRP, but that's also a no. So we're just going to steer clear of using bodily fluids for our skincare.
I mean, I've heard of, I think it's called the golden diet. There is a diet. There is a group of people that will do like cleanses or fasts, drinking only their urine. It has a name, and people swear by it.
It's going to be a no for me, I think.
It's a hard no for me also.
Yeah.
It has a name. I'm butchering it.
I'm going to have to Google this after.
Yeah, it's a thing. Look, okay. I'd say look it up, or maybe don't look it up.
Yeah, maybe don't. Then my algorithm is going to get all over here.
It's a thing. Why do you think people believe that?
I think because like when I deal with women acne sufferers, they just want to feel confident in their skin. Like they don't feel good in their own bodies, whether you're a man or you're a woman. When you're dealing with acne, it's really impacting your self-confidence, your self-esteem. We have people that don't want to leave their houses. So they are so desperate to feel better that they are literally willing to try anything. And I think when they go on, they're like, oh my gosh, this thing worked for this person, I'm going to try it out as well.
So while we're on the kind of topic of crazy things that may or may not work, but it's a no for us. What do you see as the most evidence-based types of skincare products that men would benefit most from using?
I already talked about the retin-aldehyde. I think that would be really great, especially if you're that millennial man and you want to work on that anti-aging game, because that's going to be really great for those fine lines.
Like retin-A, retinol?
So retinol is something that most people have heard of. And retin-aldehyde is actually one step or a couple steps closer in the conversion process that your skin needs to utilize it. So with a retinol, you're going to get a lot of purging, you're going to get dryness, and it kind of goes through like a period where you're like, what am I doing to get to the other side? But a retin-aldehyde actually doesn't have that drying purging process, and it's much more potent because it's closer to what the skin needs.
Is that something we can just get over the counter?
Yeah, you can get that. You're more going to find that in like a higher end medical grade product because you're really paying for the science and the technology. Mm-hmm. So I always tell people that if you're going to spend money on anything in your skincare, let it be the serums, because that's where the technology is.
So now I want to break it down generationally. Mm-hmm. And I know this is kind of your expertise, when we look at specifically nutrition, mm-hmm. but the body, man or woman, we go through really wild hormonal changes about every 10 years. And within those decades, there are certain things I believe that we could be doing to really best serve that period of our time, mm-hmm. but also to set up the next generation, our next generation, our next kind of, 10 or 20s, 30s, 40s jump. So what can we do most to be thinking about the current age mm-hmm. bracket that we're in, but then also to set ourselves up for success next, talking specifically about a guy in his 20s. What can a guy in his 20s do to serve the skincare needs, hormonal needs, balance needs of a guy in his 20s, but also kind of begin to think about, I'm going to be in my 30s, mm-hmm. In a few years.
Absolutely. So I always tell people that when you're working on your skin health, no matter what your issue is, we have to remember that your skin, whatever's going on, is a symptom of something going on inside. And so when we work to rebalance the body to clear up that symptom, we're also getting our organs working well, our body systems working better, whether it's your gut, your detox organs, your hormones, which is actually going to reduce your risk for disease later on in life. So while what you're looking at is skin health, but what you're really doing is rebalancing the body for more optimal health. Like health in general, because we have so many clients that are like, I have acne, but I have painful periods and headaches and this, and oh my gosh, when I fixed what I needed for my acne, all of those other symptoms went away. So I think just keeping that in the back of your mind, that what you're doing now isn't just skin related, but it's going to be health related. And for men in their 20s, if I could go back and tell my friends and husband, like, hey, let's maybe start balancing our blood sugar a little bit. Like, can we be making sure that we are having like protein, fiber, and healthy fats at each meal? I know for most men, protein's an easy one to get into, but making sure you're getting enough of the healthy fibers and the healthy fats, because we want to be having that stable blood sugar levels, and reducing the alcohol consumption, I think especially would be huge for a lot of people in their 20s. I know us millennials, we really partied quite hard back in the day. So I don't know if that generation still does.
I don't think they do.
I don't think
it's
they do
not
like
a thing
we did.
Anymore.
No, I know. So they're probably
it's okay. We did it enough for both generations.
Literally both. Yeah, we partied hard for all of you guys. So I think if you are somebody that consumes alcohol, reducing the alcohol consumption is going to be really great, because it's so taxing to your body. It's going to be taxing to your gut and your hormones and your detoxification system. So pulling back on that as well, I think would be really helpful. And then looking at your gut health, I think because so many of, when you're a teenager, you eat such a processed, heavily refined diet with sugars. And so we often see, or whether they're taking medications like antibiotics, and then they're throwing off their microbiome, where maybe they have an overgrowth of candida or a bacteria. I think rebalancing the microbiome could be so huge for future success.
I hear a lot of people, men and women, talk about how they're kind of unfortunately dealing with a lot of skin health problems now, particularly hormone, like cystic acne stuff. And they kind of trace it back to whether on their own or working with a functional, nutritionist or doctor to, like as a teenager in my 20s, I was on a lot of harsh antibiotics for a long term. Maybe it was like actually treatment for acne at the time. Can you walk us through, someone maybe who is getting prescribed or using these very intense gut health disrupting supplements, foods, particularly medications that might solve the problem in one generation in your 20s, but you're actually setting yourself up for potential failure in the next?
Absolutely. I think number one would be antibiotics. And we should be grateful for antibiotics because they are truly life-saving in the right circumstance. But we, especially growing up in the 90s, like we were given it like candy. It's like, you got a sniffle, here's an antibiotic. So I think when we start to look back at these medications that are basically a nuclear bomb for our gut, where that antibiotic is going in and wiping out the good and bad bacteria and throwing off that microbiome balance for you. And then if we're taking other harsh things like say an Accutane, a lot of teenage boys are going to be taking Accutane, and this is a systemic drug that is going to be having a huge impact throughout your body. So I think it's just really having that informed knowledge when you do take a medication, what really can happen to my body, and just being able to make that decision for yourself. So we have clients coming in that have actually taken antibiotics for 7 years straight with no break.
Come on.
7 years straight. And when we're like, okay, well, why were we on it for 7 years?
Their doctor's okay with that?
And she's like, oh, well, he just had an open prescription and never checked back in on it. So I just kept taking it. And we're like, okay, well.
What damage is that really doing? Why is that? We're both kind of like eyes wide open.
I know. When I've heard that a few times, and every time I hear it, it's just mind blowing to me, because she's like, now when I come off of it, I have severe gut issues. My acne is 10 times worse. I have this issue going on and that issue. I don't sleep. And it's because when we look at the gut, like the gut is not just for digesting food. It's doing a lot of different things. Like even in your gut, you have this unique subset of microbes that helps to metabolize and regulate your estrogen. So if your gut is off, your estrogen is going to be off and your hormones are going to be thrown off of balance. So I think when we are really looking at like what are those medications doing, is it's having this really big impact. And of course we know about the gut-brain skin axis, where the health of our gut is actually going to be impacting the health of our brain. So we see a lot of acne sufferers struggling with mental health issues. They've been on antibiotics long-term. So is there a link there as well?
Let's kind of put ourselves in the shoes of, and I know you've been there yourself, of, we're in our 20s. We're maybe stepping out from college or stepping into the workforce. We're doing our own thing, become our own person, man or woman here. And, we just want to look good. We're literally trying to put our best face forward to start our career, start relationships, start thriving, start partying, be happy enough, to go out and party. And we just do whatever works now because we want to put our best face forward.
Absolutely.
Is there anything we can really be doing, to be really mindful of, okay, yes, I can use this to solve a problem now, quite literally to solve a problem, but also to help my mental health and my emotional state, to not just, be so afraid to go out in public or to be on camera. That's not going to really be doing as much damage down the road. Like I want to solve the problem here and now, but I also don't want to set myself up for failure later. Does that exist?
Yeah. So, we always tell clients, like whether you're on a medication or not, like we're still able to help you because ultimately it's going to be your decision about your health. So when we're looking at what are some things we could be doing to help reduce what's going on the outside, this is where your diet's going to be heavily coming into play. So we really love to recommend as a foundation an anti-inflammatory diet. So removing those very pro-inflammatory foods like the conventional gluten, the conventional dairy, the refined sugars, the seed oils. Those are causing such massive inflammation in your body, which is going to be leading to topical issues like acne or that redness and inflammation, and really working to bring it down with anti-inflammatory foods. So this is where we love to see that plethora of protein, whether you're an omnivore or you're plant-based. We're getting in lots of different rainbow fruits and vegetables. So really making sure we're eating that rainbow throughout the week, because each one of the colors of the rainbow is going to have different nutrients in the food that you're eating. And then making sure we're getting in like those nuts and seeds and the fiber and the healthy fats, and using the avocado oils and the olive oils instead of using those like canola oils. So really looking at your day-to-day nutrition and thinking of this as a way to live and not a diet, because we never want to be put on a diet that feels restrictive. So this is where, it's not going to happen overnight. I came from growing up eating like fettuccine Alfredo and Kraft Dinner and all of these different things. I didn't eat vegetables, didn't drink water, and here I am a nutritionist. So I get it. When you're changing your diet over can seem scary. So do this, over a few months or even a year, where as you run out of things that are your favorites, let's try finding a healthier alternative for what that favorite comfort food is, because that's when it doesn't feel restrictive, when you're able to replace it with those foods. And in today's world, like you have so many options of healthier alternatives that we didn't have 10, 20 years ago. And then from there, making sure you're staying hydrated, of course, because your body needs hydration to function, limiting that alcohol consumption. And then whether you're working with some type of functional practitioner to see, okay, where are those imbalances in my body that I can start working to fix?
So while we're still here in our 20s, and again, I think for a lot of 20-year-olds or people in their 20s now, this isn't as much of a thing, but I was having fun.
Too much fun.
I was partying, I was drinking, I was out in the sun all the time. I was, doing all the anti probably things I'm doing now to a certain degree. I've always been kind of, pretty health wellness conscious, but I would also swing the other way.
Absolutely.
What can someone do now that, let me rephrase that question. I think I just lost my train of thought. The 20s. Oh, dad brain.
Tired dad brain.
Oh, what was it?
They're partying. They're doing all the bad things.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say we're in our 20s now and we're thriving. We're having fun. We're doing whatever we want.
You're invincible.
Invincible.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Invincible.
Yeah. Maybe we're not sleeping as much. We're drinking alcohol. Yeah. We're out in the sun with not enough SPF or any. Mm-hmm. What can we do if that's our choice? What can we do to really try to thwart as much as possible any negative impacts that might have so that we're not in our 30s and finally deciding to settle down with a skincare routine and be like, damn it, the last 10 years I goofed.
Yeah, because you can't go back in time and tell your younger self, hey, you should do this, because I would make a lot of different decisions that I did. But hey, we are here. So I think when you have control, like giving yourself that balance. So if you are going to live that fun lifestyle, you're going out and doing the things, maybe when you're at home and you have control over your lifestyle a little bit more, that's where I'm like, okay, maybe I'm going to make some healthier choices with what I'm eating. I'm going to make sure I go to bed on time. Maybe I won't drink alcohol 7 days a week. So I think when you can find that, almost that like 80-20 balance where 80% of the time when you're living your normal life, you're going to work, you're doing things with your family, that's when we're going to try to put a little bit more focus and reminder on what we can be doing for our health. And then taking that 20%, if you're going to go to concerts and travel and go and do whatever you want to do, just to give your body some type of thing that it can hold on to. And maybe a multivitamin we can throw in there, just like I think
bare bones, a
multivitamin, maybe a probiotic. Making sure we're drinking water. I think just those really foundational things, and especially looking at like stress reduction and sleep, because I think people forget that lifestyle habits are just as important as the food you're eating and the supplements you're taking. Because if you're not sleeping, you're unless you're a parent, that's not an option. But if you're in your 20s, like trying to get quality sleep will go a really long way for you.
How important is a probiotic? I heard you mention, how important is a probiotic for skin health? And should everyone be taking one?
For our clients that come in, we almost always have them on a probiotic, but it's going to be different depending on the person, because we know there's hundreds of different strains for hundreds of different purposes. So we don't want someone coming in who's dealing with one issue and they're taking the wrong strain and maybe it's giving them terrible bloating or constipation. So we want to be looking at what's the right probiotic going to be for them, what's the right CFUs. So like, is it 10 billion, is it 50 billion? And really making sure that they're taking the right one.
Yeah, what should someone be looking for? I know literally every body is different here, but let's say my audience members right now, like I would love to get on a probiotic. What should I be looking for as like a good start that I can, fairly try, give it 30 days and go like, yes, this was for me or this wasn't.
Yeah, I would say maybe let's start with a lower CFU. So maybe around like 5 to 10 billion, because we find sometimes when clients just jump right in and start taking like 100 billion, it's going to lead to some not so fun symptoms. Their body just isn't ready for it. So maybe starting with something that'll say 5 to 10 billion, and it'll say right on the label, it's called CFU, so colony forming units, and making sure that there's no added fillers in the probiotics themselves. So like turning the label over and making sure like there's no added like sucrose.
Yeah, I think an even better question here is what should we be looking for to not be in our postbiotic that's actually going to move the needle most for us?
I would say making sure there's not any of the additives like corn or extra dairy or sucrose or anything like that that is just going to be like tamping down the effectiveness of the probiotic.
Do you think someone in their 20s would benefit most to set themselves up for success in their 30s?
Yes.
Every 20-something should be taking a postbiotic?
Probiotic, absolutely. And we also like to recommend swapping the probiotics out. So every 3 months, could you be changing your probiotics around? Because we want to be making sure you're getting different strains into your gut. Because if you're just taking the same strains over and over and over again, you're not getting that variety that your microbiome needs.
So changing the strain, not necessarily, I tried this brand for 3 months and then another brand for 3 months.
The brands will differ from like strains to strains. If you go into a health food store or supplement store and you turn it like all over the probiotics, you'll see they're all different combinations. You'll often see Lactobacillus acidophilus, Bifidobacterium. These are going to be 2 really common ones in it. But then we're going to be seeing some that has like Rotari, or some like they just have like some that has Streptococcus, some that has maybe Saccharomyces boulardii. There's going to be different kind of combinations of probiotics.
I'm a big fan of Akkermansia.
Oh, I love that one.
I personally have had great results with
amazing.
it. It's the only one I've ever taken that I'm like, oh, I actually feel the difference. Walk us through Akkermansia in terms of like skin health benefits.
Yeah, we find
or why do you like it as a postbiotic?
Well,
probiotic, excuse me.
We find that a lot of our clients, they are dealing with an imbalance in their gut, and it just really helps to go in and feed the gut with the right types of bacteria that's going to be loving up just the gut health in general.
So would you say that one as a standalone strain, or I haven't seen it in a lot of probiotics?
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a lot. Like you could have it as like sometimes we will have clients taking 2 separate probiotics. So like a blended one, maybe an Akkermansia, or a blended one in the Saccharomyces boulardii, which is a beneficial yeast. It's that combination that comes down what's really happening in their gut. And if somebody's like, well, how do I figure out what's happening? We really love running a GI map or some type of stool test that can be looking at the specific species in your gut and matching up to what you need.
Yeah, getting labs is always going to be
huge.
The best thing. You're starting from a much better starting point than just, throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what's sick. You might get success that way.
Maybe.
You might feel a difference or see a difference, but getting just baseline diagnostic labs for anything is crucial, I believe.
Absolutely. With acne sufferers especially, they've tried everything. They've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on their skin, and they're just wasting money because they don't know what's happening inside. And it's really only been in the last handful of years where people are starting to realize that their acne is a symptom and something is off. But when you're going off of TikTok and Instagram, that's like, oh, you need this hormone balancing supplement, you need this probiotic, you need this skincare. And they're trying it and it's not working, or they're told, I need to eat a carnivore diet, I need to be plant-based, I need to be this diet, and it doesn't work for them. They feel defeated and hopeless because like, I tried eating healthy, I tried taking supplements, that didn't work.
Yeah.
That's where the labs really do come in handy, because it's going to be giving you what is the imbalances inside that is causing your symptoms to occur.
Absolutely, cannot agree more. Let's tiptoe into our 30s. What is going on in our 30s that you think we should be doing that is going to serve this generation the most, my 30s to 40s, and then also set myself up for success most for my 40s?
Yeah, I think, especially if in your 30s right now, as we talked about, you spent a lot of time partying, like we weren't living our healthiest life back then. So I think it's starting to catch up with us a little bit now, right? Now we're realizing, okay, we're not as young as we used to be. We are getting a little bit older. We have some fine lines popping up. I want to start taking a little bit better care of myself. Maybe we have aging parents who are going through sicknesses, and I don't want to get that. I want to take care of the issue now. So I think this is where we can, again, take the things that we would have been doing in our 20s ideally. So making sure we're getting the protein, the fiber, the healthy fats, focusing on the anti-inflammatory nutrition, kind of looking at our sleep as well. But this is where I think stress reduction is going to be really, really key for a lot of people, because in your 30s, it's a very stressful time. You most likely, where a lot of people, maybe they have small humans that they take care of, or pets, or they're caregiving for somebody, or maybe they have parents where their parents are getting older and they're dealing with illnesses. So you're kind of in this like middle ground where you have people on both sides of you that you're taking care of. And then you're also working full time. You have a house, you're dealing with mortgage rates and like all of these things that we don't want to be dealing with as an adult, because adulting isn't fun. It's really stressful in our 30s. And I think this is where if we can be getting stress reduction practices in, or we're setting boundaries as well. I know for a lot of women, they have a lot of trouble setting boundaries and saying no to things, but finding something that allows you to disconnect. I know my husband has been really trying something to reduce his stress, because he's like, my friends don't do this, so I don't really have anyone to talk to about this. So what can I be doing? So it's going to be different for every person. Maybe one person really gravitates to breath work, or another person likes grounding, or someone likes tapping, or someone just wants to meditate. Whatever that stress reduction practice is, I think if we can be weaving that into the day, it's really going to be so, so helpful.
Would you really recommend a meditation or a breathwork practice for someone suffering with skin health issues and acne to focus on?
100%. So we work with the 5 acne clearing pillars with our clients, which is gut, detox, hormones, emotional well-being, and skincare. The emotional well-being piece is so incredibly critical to the health of your skin, because we have that gut brain skin axis where each one of these areas is going to be impacting our health. And when we are struggling with acne, the anxiety is high, our self-confidence is low, our self-esteem is low, we're bullying ourselves, the negative self-talk, like it's almost all consuming and overwhelming. So when we can be, learning to speak kinder to ourselves, taking a minute to, bring those cortisol levels down, because so many acne sufferers have crazy cortisol. And when their cortisol is sent on that joyride, it's actually going to trigger an overproduction of sebum in the skin and lead to more breakouts. So when we can really be rebalancing our mental and emotional well-being, like we have seen borderline miracles occur for clients.
Really? That's impressive. That's impressive. I mean, it all makes sense to me. You know, I live in this world and walk it as well, but I think it's a harder sell for someone because, you know, when you're out there in the world, literally with this being the first thing people see most often, and you go like, I want something to treat it. I want to have clearer, healthier skin. What good is a breathwork class going to do me? What good is meditation?
For sure.
You know, what good is just, you know, de-stressing? Like, how can I not stress about what's going on?
Absolutely, because it's like this feedback loop where you're stressed about your skin and your health, but then that also stresses you and you're just stuck in this loop. But we have to remember that our health isn't the result of just one thing that we're doing. It's not this magic bullet or this cure-all. It's a combination of everything we're doing in our life, from the food that we're eating, the supplements we take, the lifestyle habits that we have. That together combines to make that picture of health.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, kind of shifting gears into guys and nutrition. I think because I've been a typical guy's guy where I just eat whatever I want, whenever I want. Typically, this coincided more with my 20s because we could just get we could get away with a lot more back then. But I think guys, it's going to be a harder sell for most men to go, hey, you should maybe eat more of this, less of that kind of thing if you want to be conscious of, again, your skin health. What do you think is one type of food or food group you think men would have the most difficulty with letting go of if they knew how potentially bad it was for their skin?
Oh, that's a hard one. It's such a toss up because, you know, some of my husband's friends, they've been lately coming to me like, Kate, like, what can I do? Like,
like don't make me give up my nachos or my wings or my pizza or my beer or like, you know.
Yeah, the beer probably.
Is there a collective food or food group that we should be focusing on?
I would say like the conventional dairy, so that highly processed dairy is just going to be so inflammatory to the body. So that's generally one, but you know, guys
so
love
like no dairy?
Yeah, so like guys love their pizza. So I would say if you're wanting to really improve your skin health, let's give yourself like 90 days of like removing those really inflammatory things like say a gluten or a dairy and seeing how that inflammation comes down. Because I'd like to give it 90 days to really truly see it because I feel like a few weeks just isn't long enough. So thinking of my husband's friends, I would say when I'm like, okay, guys, let's maybe like cut down the gluten a little bit. They're like, but my pizza. I'm like, well, let's find other alternatives. But, you know, we really want to see them eating protein. So they're always happy like, okay, I can keep my protein. I can keep my steak. I can keep my this and that. But I think it would probably be the gluten or the dairy would be the biggest ones I see.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised. A little while ago, I kind of just did some swaps just to like see of going gluten-free, like gluten-free pasta, gluten-free this and that. And I was really amazed of like how different I felt.
Yeah.
Better. I felt. And I wouldn't say that before, you know, by eating gluten regularly, I don't really eat a lot of processed foods to begin with, which is where you see a lot of gluten. But by going gluten-free, especially on like pasta night or certain dishes, or even just like if I'm out, if I see a gluten-free option, I'll entertain it. I feel so much better.
Absolutely.
And it's like walking around, I didn't know like I actually had some bloating. I didn't know I was walking around with kind of feeling like distended stomach or like, you know, gastrointestinal issues. Same thing with not dairy collectively, but certain dairies, especially, you know, I've been, you know, exercising for decades now. And I think like every other guy out there, we love our protein shakes and we just pound a protein shake,
That's my husband.
typically a whay protein shake. And like 4-ish years ago, I switched to a lactose-free whey, shout out Legion Athletics. And I was like, oh my God, I don't have, you know, we call them the bubble guts. I don't have like, you know, the protein burps or like just feeling like, I assumed it was just me having to metabolize more protein to get, you know, the muscle mass or the strength or to hit my macros or whatever it was. And I think a lot of guys can relate to that.
Absolutely.
But I switched to lactose-free whey and I was like, I don't have to feel that way.
Right.
I don't have to feel that way. And anytime we feel better with the food choices, like our decisions, but then also quite literally how we feel better because of the foods that we eat, that is definitely serving every system, including our skin health, right?
Absolutely. And I think when people are eating the same thing they've always eaten growing up, they've eaten the gluten and the dairy and all of these things, you're like, oh, no, I feel fine. Yeah. But you don't realize how much better you can actually feel. So this like prime example is my husband, where when he's at home, like he lives with a nutritionist, so he is eating very, very healthy. But
is he like sneaking in the kitchen? And like, is Katie watching?
Yeah, oh my gosh. But I see our credit card statements, so I see those like pizza statements every once in a while on that bill. And he will always come back. He's like, oh, my stomach. I'm like, well, what did you eat today? He's like, well, I got Subway. I'm like, well, there we go. Like, this is your own doing. You know better than this, because he really notices it now when he eats so clean at home. And then he goes and eats something that we don't really eat. And he's like, oh, yeah, my stomach is completely off. So I think when you can start to make that connection between, let's try removing something for a period of time, 30 to 90 days, and then let's add it back in and see how your body responds. And I think when then you're like, oh man, like, yeah, my stomach really does hurt, or I got a headache, I have brain fog, I'm not sleeping well. That's when you can start to make those connections between the food that I'm eating is actually making me not feel great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think a lot of guys might struggle more than women with alcohol.
Yes.
Is it really as bad for a guy's skin as they say it is?
Yes, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Like, please don't egg my house or slash my tires because my husband's also a beer drinker. I get it. But again, it's heavy gluten based. So it's going to give that like kind of beer belly that so many men get. Also, just the alcohol in your system alone is going to be impacting our liver health, of course. It's going to be impacting our gut lining. So, you know, my husband still drinks beer. I let him have his beer, but he drinks it much, much less than he used to. And I do try to make sure that he's getting an organic beer as well, just to reduce the pesticides.
Okay. What about hormonal acne? I know this is a big area of your work and how you help people. Do men get the same type of hormonal acne as women? What causes it, and what are best practices for treating it?
So I think when we're looking at hormonal acne, we're so used to only thinking sex hormones. Like, we're like, it's estrogen based, it's testosterone based, it's progesterone based, but we forget that our blood sugar our insulin and our cortisol are also hormones in the body that can be impacting our skin. So when we're looking at the blood sugar, that's where if we're eating a very heavily refined diet, lots of refined carbohydrates, refined sugars, not eating consistent meals, this is where we're going to see our blood sugar and insulin kind of go off. And if we're leading that really stressful lifestyle, the cortisol as well. So when we can be reducing the stress, getting our blood sugar happy, that's going to be positively impacting our hormones as a whole. And then looking on the sex hormone side, we often see with men, it's going to be very androgen based, especially in their teens. So this is where we're going to be seeing that testosterone coming through.
What about that might open up a can of worms. I'm trying to think if I want to go down this road. You mentioned kind of just estrogen, testosterone. I'm debating if I want to kind of bring up men and women will, go through hormonal replacement therapy, HRT, TRT. Yeah. Okay. All right. So some guys might choose to go on testosterone replacement therapy. I've been there. I was on for 14, 15 months ish. I've been off entirely for like 2 years now. And I did notice some changes in my skin health by being on TRT. Typically, in my experience, it was correlated to a higher estrogen. It was in like an estrogen imbalance. And once you kind of get that sorted out, then it gets a lot better and it goes away. And so when a guy is maybe choosing to go on TRT or, feels like he has to, actually, you're like clinically low T, no motivation, no sex drive, all these things. And TRT like can really save a lot of people's lives.
Absolutely. Hormone replacement therapy, incredible.
It's wonders. My wife does it every day. She's a hormone specialist in telehealth. And, but then we suffer, our skin health might suffer. If we're going the TRT route, what can we do to really work on that? Is there anything we can do, or does it need to be really finessed with our medical provider?
I think a little bit of both. Like, we want to be finessing it with the medical provider because they're going to be able to make sure that you're taking the right amount. And then just like we've been talking about, is supporting your body as a whole so that your body can properly regulate and metabolize these hormones. So whether we're looking at supporting our liver health, so like we're reducing that alcohol consumption, and I already talked about that cortisol. So when we're dealing with testosterone, sometimes we'll see that overproduction of the sebum in the skin. So making sure we're doing other things to reduce that impact. So that's where, again, the blood sugar and the cortisol are going to be really, really helpful because that's going to also increase the androgen sebum production as well.
Okay. Now let's say we're on the other side of the pendulum here. We went from no skincare routine.
Yes.
The guy said, okay, fine. You finally convinced me. I'm washing my face.
I'm doing it.
I'm doing the serums. I'm doing the things. And now we're going the complete other side. And now like our side of the medicine cabinet is overflowing. And we've got the serums, the moisturizers, the masks, all the things. Is there such a thing as too much a guy can be doing to negatively impact their skin health if seemingly it's, all great?
Absolutely. I think there's can always be too much of a good thing where we want to find that balance. And we see this a lot with acne sufferers, men and women, where they're so desperate. So I want to do all the things. Give me like a 14-step routine. I'm using acids, I'm using retinols, I'm using peroxides, I'm using all of these really harsh ingredients. So I think when we start to overdo it because we want those results, this is where we're going to start to destroy our skin barrier. So that protective barrier on our skin, we're going to start to impact that. We're going to see more inflammation, more redness, more sensitivity or sensitized skin. So we want to be making sure that we're not overdoing it, especially with the acids, because if we're putting acids like a salicylic acid or BHA, AHA, and we're putting it in the cleanser, the serum, all of the things we're putting on, we're just really impacting it. So this is where we want to be looking at our skincare, making sure that, okay, if we have a nourishing cleanser, our treatment can maybe have an acid in it, and then we have like a nourishing cream and an SPF, so that way we're protecting it as well.
Okay. Yeah. I'm team SPF. I've got
Absolutely.
melanoma in my family, so I use it every day, and if I don't, my mom yells at me. Convince a guy right now to wear sunscreen on his face every day.
Well, do you want to age faster than your wife or your partner? Like, do you want your partner to look like 20 years younger than you when you're like in your 50s and 60s?
So you're saying not so much, first and foremost, we think, SPF and we think, oh, I'm not going to get a sunburn. You're saying guys should focus on sunscreen for anti-aging.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the sun's going to be aging you, right? Of course, we want to be wearing SPF for like melanoma skincare issues, but we also are doing it to prevent and reduce the reduction of increased aging. So like those fine lines and like if you're baking out in the sun with no protection, you're really going to be aging your skin. So if you want to be looking younger in the future, this is where SPF is really going to come in handy. And it's also going to prevent discoloration of the skin, so the sunspots as well.
So would you say, is this the number one recommendation? Is this the number one recommendation for men's anti-aging skincare routine?
I would say it's the simplest, right? Is SPF. It's something that you want to be doing anyways to prevent any types of cancers. So if we're just putting it on anyways, we're going to be getting that anti-aging benefits as well.
And I've also heard a lot of people promote shaving as a great exfoliant for guys. If you shave every day, you're exfoliating your skin. You can cleanse it more closely. I clearly don't shave every day. I'll trim my beard or grow it out. I straight razor shave baby face maybe a couple times a year. Should a guy be shaving daily or more frequently to have, I don't know, more cellular turnover, to detoxify, to exfoliate? Is there any correlation between men shaving their face and better skin health?
I think you could just use an exfoliator, right? Like most of my guy friends have beards, so like they're not shaving their beard down looking like they're 15 again. They want to keep it. So this is where you could be using an exfoliant, whether you're using a physical exfoliant. So this would be ones that have this is my technical term, the little scrubbies in it.
Little scrubby doos.
The little scrubby, little scrubby doos.
Yeah.
So that'll physically exfoliate the dead skin. But if you're using a chemical exfoliant, that would be something that has AHAs or BHAs in it. So it's an ingredient that is like sloughing away the dead skin. Say in one of your serums, that's going to do a great job of exfoliating, even if you have the beard. Just like make sure you get it in there.
What is a good frequency you would recommend for most men to use an exfoliant?
Depending on their skin, anywhere from 1 to 3 times a week.
1 to 3 times a week. Okay. Okay. What about extracurricular activities? We'll say, we've got the skincare routine down, but we want to go a step further. We want to look at getting a professional facial. We want to use maybe photobiomodulation therapy, those wild, crazy face masks I see my wife use with red light, blue light, all these different things. Is there any benefit for a guy's skin health to be using, these biohacking tools or, going to a spa or sauna and getting these more intensive skin health routine experiences?
Yeah. My husband's just been getting on this because he's just turned 39. So he's like, okay, I need to start doing some things here. And sure, I have one of those masks.
It's crazy looking.
My kids think I look like Iron Man when I wear it.
I told my wife, I was like, I need you to tell me when you're going to be using it because I'll turn the corner in the house and I'm like, ah!
Yeah, what are you wearing?
It's very wild.
Yeah, even my dogs are like, what is happening with you? But I've noticed my husband's been doing it himself where he just puts the mask on while he's watching hockey at night. And I'm like, you are hilarious right now. So I think the any red light therapy is going to be great, whether it's a mask or a panel.
Why? What is so special about red light therapy that's great for men's skin health?
It's so great for collagen production. So as we age, we want to be making sure we're having a good amount of collagen production. That's going to be smoothing and plumping the skin. So again, that anti-aging component, it's going to be reducing redness and inflammation. So if you have a lot of redness in your face, it's going to be really great for that. And say you're using one of those panels as well, it's going to be great for mitochondria, for sleep, for mood. So I think there's a multitude of benefits there.
Is timing preferred with red light therapy? I heard you say your husband uses it at night.
Whenever it fits in your day. It's because we have kids. So by the time we sit down, it's 10 o'clock and I'm like, oh, it's nice to see you in a day. Yeah. So that's when he has time to sit with, because he's such a hands-on dad. So he's playing with them nonstop. So at night is when he has the time in his schedule.
Okay. What about if we want to go, get a facial?
Yeah.
Can we go too far with like peels and exfoliants and microdermabrasion or all of these things?
This is where I think it's really important to work with a really good medical esthetician that knows that can see your skin and what your goals are. So my husband, he's gone for an IPL, which is those laser facials. He spent a lot of time out in the sun traveling South America, so lots of freckles. So he was doing that to help even his skin tone out. So that could be really great for somebody. Or maybe you are somebody who had acne and you have those deep pitted scars. This is where, say, microneedling can be really helpful to help smooth the skin out a little bit more. You could be going for just your average facial where you're getting the hydration, but really working with somebody that can walk you through the best treatment for your goals.
I'll say a quick shout out. I love Bijou Beauty here in LA. I go every couple of months. Shout out Lauren and James and the crew over there. And I love it. One, I think to your point earlier, it's a great just guaranteed 45 to 75 minutes where I can relax.
You can just shut your brain off.
I can shut my brain off. I can lay down. The ambiance is amazing. Bijou Beauty or any other typical spa, it's just going to be you're chilling, you're laying down,
nice music,
it's calm, relaxing.
No doom scrolling.
Exactly, yeah. So I think first and foremost, that's a very important thing to point out. So in any kind of regularity, you can introduce that to your life. We talked about the amazing benefits. But just a regular facial or I've gotten they call it the diamond facial. It's like teeny tiny little not microdermabrasion, but like micro diamonding kind of thing.
Now I need to go.
It's like a deep exfoliant. It's amazing.
I'm going to have to go before I leave.
And to your point earlier, like they're scrubby-doos, but I call them sucky-doos because it pulls out and shows like all the extractions.
All the gross stuff. And you're like, what?
It's like disgusting, but amazing all at the same time. Yeah. So guys, you're not invincible. We walk outside, every day, most of us, and we're exposed to the elements. And especially here in Los Angeles, we struggle a lot with air quality.
Yeah, huge.
And
pollution.
Sun, direct sun, all this stuff. So, which we didn't really even get into there, but beyond washing your face, maybe using some of the products we talked about in SPF, should a guy really be looking into the air quality of his city or where he's traveling to do anything different to protect his skin?
I've actually had someone ask me this question, but I think that is such a good question.
It's important.
It is important because that's what our skin is being exposed to. Like you guys have major pollution here in LA with your traffic. And I think when you can be looking at that air quality is going to be really important. So if you have the ability to maybe put an air purifier in your home, so that way you can start cleansing the air that you're in all the time, or your office can be really great. And then the different climates, right, are going to be different for your skin. If you're somebody that travels a lot, and I know people, go to certain areas of the world, and they're like, oh, my skin feels so much oilier here. It feels so much drier here. So if you are somebody that is in that travel zone, is kind of taking that consideration as well. Yeah,
I definitely noticed I will have to rotate through. I feel the need to need certain things more than others. Like here in Los Angeles, it's a desert climate. It's more dry. So I definitely cleansing, moisturizing, and seruming all pretty much every day. When I go back to the East Coast, I'm from Virginia. I lived in DC, and when I go back to my friends and family in those areas, especially this time of year, it's very humid. And I don't need any extra help moisturizing, oiling the skin. So just cleansing and like a serum. But I'll even get away with like half the amount of serum that I use. And then I visit family or go, visit in New York City. And it's, it can be very cold. It can be dry. It can be windy. And I'm like lathering that stuff on like crazy, which is, again, I think here is another point. Your body will prompt you, whatever the ailment is, our bodies are the best coaches. And if we can just learn to pause long enough to listen to what it's telling us, whether that's by going gluten-free, lactose-free, or maybe there's a particular exercise modality that's maybe you love, but your body hates, you're just constantly sore or inflamed. And especially with our skin health, pay attention, especially if you're someone that is, changing climates, or you're in
I live in Toronto.
Yeah, exactly. So you get all the 4 seasons.
We get all 4 seasons. So I change my skincare regularly throughout the seasons because in the winter it's super dry. We have the heating inside. So I'm putting on like a much thicker, heavier moisturizer. But in the summer in Canada, it's super, super hot. And so it's very humid. Like we have New York weather basically. So it's very humid. And I'm like, I don't need to be applying this really thick moisturizer because it's just too much for my skin.
Yeah, so well said. Is there anything that we didn't talk about maybe that you would like to really highlight when it comes to skin health, men, women?
You did such a great job with your questions because just reminding yourself that it's a combination of the skincare that you're using, the lifestyle that you're living, and then the things that you're putting into your body.
Is there anything on the horizon that you're very excited about in the skin health world?
There is. It's probably a little more popular here in LA because we get things a little bit slower in Toronto. But exosomes, I think, are going to be absolutely huge for the skincare game.
Walk us through exosomes. What's that?
So exosomes are going to be like the next big thing, and I've seen it a lot in functional clinics. So you can be getting them, whether it's an exosome facial, so it's going to be really big for anti-aging. Some people even get, I've had one before where it was an exosome IV infusion, and you can be going after so many different things. I'm not an exosome expert myself, but I feel like we're really going to be seeing it popping up everywhere, especially in skincare.
Okay, it kind of prompts a follow-up question. I see a lot of things in the skin health world or skin health promoting world that are topical versus, even like IV transfusions or maybe like a pill. And we talked a lot of different things about nutrition and supplements. Are there certain things that you would always recommend us to look at as this should always be topical? This should always be like IV or maybe through supplementation? One big example that comes to mind is actually I'm sipping on it now in my coffee. I have collagen in my coffee every day.
Love collagen.
For example, is collagen beneficial if we ingest it? I see it in like creams and a lot of topical applications. Is there a preferred delivery mechanism?
I like the collagen when it's dietary. So it's coming in like whether it's your coffee or your smoothie. I think that's really going to give you the best bang for your buck because it's also going to start to work systemically where, yes, it's going to be great for your skin, but it's going to be great for your gut. It's going to be great for your joints and bones as well.
Especially here with collagen, I think why a lot of topical applications don't work as well as ones that you ingest is that your skin, like it's very thick. It has to go through multiple layers in order to actually penetrate to get in there. And your number one job of your skin is to be a barrier.
Absolutely.
And so it's going to do its best to like keep things out. And I hear, I'm not a skin health expert, you are, but collagen topical is not as effective, if at all, than when you ingest it.
Yeah, and that's where you get that science in the delivery system. So when you are paying for a more pricier skincare, like the medical grade skincare, you are paying for the delivery system. It has a much higher end, more scientific backed delivery system. So that way it's getting deeper into the skin versus something you're going to buy at Target.
Shout out Sean Coffee Company. You guys have been keeping me collagen infused for 8 years now. I get 15 grams of collagen in my coffee every day. Katie, my last question. This has all been meant to help me and my audience learn a unique area of the multifacetedness that is being human. And so hopefully we can extract something to go back to or to learn something new to apply into one of our areas of well-being to help move us forward and to live a life ever forward. Those two words, what do they mean to you? Let's say, Katie, how do you live a life ever forward? How will that land on you?
I think to keep going even when the crappy things happen to you in life because, no one's immune. No one gets to live this beautiful, incredible life where nothing bad ever happens. So I think that, just staying resilient and moving forward even when it feels tough.
Even when you wake up and you got a zinger on your forehead because you were too lazy the 2 nights before to wash your face. But you know what? Family comes first nowadays, and apparently my skin health comes second. We'll get back on track. Where can my audience go to connect with you and learn more about what you got going on in the world? Of course, it'll be in the show notes and video description box for you guys.
You can check us out on Instagram, YouTube, our website, all at Katie Stewart Wellness, and you'll be able to find us anywhere.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
you so much.